Donald Trump, Mike Johnson, the rest of the Trump regime, right-wing media, traditional or independent or whatever, they were all desperate for you to believe that the No Kings protests were anything other than the massive historic success that they were. And so it wasn't just that on the weekend they were out there trying to badmouth them. Remember, Mike Johnson spent the whole week running up to it, pretending that it was all hate America, it's all fake, it's all funded by Soros or whatever. And they're still doing that in the wake of it, okay? Donald Trump said he believed radical left lunatics like George Soros helped pay for the brand new signs, all the signs, the best oak handles, walnut perhaps, engraved, super nice. He called the protests a joke, said they were very small and very ineffective. I think it's a joke. I looked at the people. They're not represented in this country. Yes, it was very, very small. You know how small the protests were? Everyone in Republican media and politics cannot stop talking about it. That's how irrelevant it was. That's how much of a failure it was that their entire weekend was ruined by it, and it was the only thing they could think about. That's how insignificant and not even really worth talking about it was. But setting aside the nonsense and their lack of ability to accept reality, organizers estimate that some 7 million people protested around America. Last time got 5 million. It's believed that around 2 million more protested this time everywhere. I mean, in the big cities, in red states as well. I can say I was at the El Segundo No Kings. That was an awesome one too. I mean, we had, I don't know, 10 or 20 in LA alone. And you saw the crowds in Chicago. I mean, these are the biggest crowds I've seen in some of these places. And that is what really bothers them. The bigger thing though that bothers them, I saw this message, I think it might've been on Threads, by Tobias Wolff, who said this. Another important fact about No King's Day: if this regime thought they could mobilize millions of people around the country to rally in support of fascism, they would. They tried it with their absurd military parade birthday party for geriatric Joffrey, and it flopped. Authoritarians love putting on big displays of their widespread popular support. The Vance Miller White House know they are weak, impotent pariahs. Donald Trump wants you to ignore the fact that 7 million of your countrymen came out. Remember, it isn't just that they can't do it now. Remember like when Biden was president for 4 years and they were freaking out constantly? You remember those massive protests they put on around America? No, you don't. You know why? Because they couldn't do it. I'm not saying they've never had people come together. I remember January 6th, they can get 10 or 20,000 people together to try to end democracy. I'll give them that. And Trump still does his rallies, although I'll remind you, his crowds were smaller this last time around than they were back when he was running in 2016 and 2020. They know that they don't have real world support. They have people who are mad online, supported by a lot of trolls and bots and all of that. That's what they have. They can't flood the streets like this. If they could, they would do it. They weren't even able to do it on Inauguration Day. And so that's why it makes them so mad. It isn't just that they can't take the fact that there's this much opposition to them. It's that they know that they can't match it either, JR. What do you think?
Absolutely. I mean, this thing, I love that point about showing how they did try this. They actually have, there's a bunch of manufactured realities or some kind of momentum that's coming that really isn't there. How much more have they been talking about that pathetic little military parade? That was supposed to be his like, the military's in front of him. This is his coming out party. This is him taking over and showing this mandate on the American people. Like none of it really exists. So they have to create this false sense of it for people to try and figure that then out. The main problem with all these discussions is that generally progressive thinking people make decisions or have something they believe in based off evidence, scientific, at least something that's in front of them. So we have this same mindset that we have to continue to try and convince people of that because we assume once they hear enough reality, that then will set in and they have no other choice but to believe reality. But we have a bunch of minions that are in this country. So as soon as Kevin and them with the yellow heads and the overalls start going that, like the minions do, move on and go to the next person and see if they're the ones that have this mindset and based in reality. Again, if you ask any of the minions, they'll go, yeah, that military parade was awesome, or they'll just shut the hell up and not say anything about it because they don't want to continue to talk about the things that have been blacked out from their brains. I love the point. It's one of the things I didn't think about, because I like that we can see those examples, and once those examples are there, keep those logged in your brain and know that those are the folks you have to avoid. They're actually dangerous because there's probably like this virus of stupidity that you might catch,
Yeah.
and you might find yourself arguing with them, and it's just like a brick wall. You can only bang your head into it so many times before then you're deemed useless too.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just, by the way, I love that. Like, I was just thinking in his little Jet AI video, like, hey, Trump, why is the crowd so big in that video? Like, I know you're focusing on the jet, you're focusing on the poop. It was a massive crowd. This Times Square was full of people. Like, even AI acknowledges it was a lot of people. It wasn't 3 blue-haired libs that you were dumping the poop on. It was hundreds of thousands of people. Isn't that interesting? And I'll just close by acknowledging the war on the truth. Remember, with Trump, it began, well, technically, I think it began with the national origin and birth certificate of Barack Obama. But once he was in office, it began with crowd sizes. They have always been incredibly sensitive about their inability to get people actually out there. Again, doesn't mean that they can't ever win an election when people get desperate, but those people aren't out marching. And it isn't just like No Kings, the women's marches, the assemblies against the Muslim ban. Like, I've been at all of those. Where was that for Joe Biden? Where was the big protest to stop infrastructure spending or to make sure that student loan debt continues to be a massive burden? Where were the massive assemblies around America? If MAGA is so vital, so alpha, it's weird that it never manifests in the real world.